I wasn't going to go live again, but I decided to go live again. Talk about atheism and theism. Like the word God is such a, like when you say, "Do you believe in God?" Then it's like, what is God? And then if your description of what is God doesn't fit the criteria of the Judean Christian God, which is the socially accepted God, then you're an atheist because you don't agree with the prevailing theist. But at the same time, the word God is a Western construct that necessarily isn't universally used to describe deities. It's used to describe a Western deity. And what if your deity is nature? And you admit that nature in her natural, physical, and metaphysical form is the only deity you witness, you recognize. Well, you believe in a deity, a higher power, but you don't believe in God. Or you acknowledge a higher deity, a higher power, but that's not God. But then the word power and God are synonymous. So is the word ill in God. I mean, in power, synonymous. More so. And netter and power are synonymous. Which is, this idea that we're black folks, and really black folks have a real problem with the term atheist. It is like the worst thing in the world. And then it's so rigid within the black community, within the black atheist community. You're an atheist, but you believe in a higher power or acknowledge a higher power? How is that? I don't know. How do you recognize your astrological sign? Because you really do talk about your astrological sign, which is the power that's over you, because your entire fucking goddamn personality is determined by that motherfucking goddamn that astrological or by the zodiac, and your astrological manifestation of the zodiac, or individual, whatever sign you might be. That's a power over you. You know what I'm saying? Laws of nature. You know what I'm saying? Science acknowledges that there is power over man, individually and as a group. It's called nature. The laws that govern nature are the higher power recognized by science. But that's not the Christian Judeo God. So it's atheism. It's an opposition to the prevailing theists.
Theism.
Or theism. To the prevailing theism. Judeo-Christianity is the prevailing theism. And if you are counter to that, or not in adherence to that, it's atheism. And all you gotta do is just like Google atheism used in antiquity. And you'll see how it's used in relationship to someone not accepting the socially, like Rome. Rome accused Christians of practicing atheism. What? Christians are practicing atheism? That's impossible under the Roman Empire. Yeah, it's possible because they weren't recognizing the Roman gods. So technically what Christians were doing and were being accused of was practicing atheism. Because they didn't accept the Roman theism, the pantheon of gods. And because they didn't accept the Roman pantheon of gods, they were considered atheists. Because that's what atheism is. It's the rejection of a social structure's pantheon or singular monolithic God. And that's what this is. It's monolithic. Polytheism? Yeah, theism.
Polytheism.
Polytheism, there you go. It's monolithic polytheism. Because you acknowledge the fact that there's a Buddha, even though Buddha is not technically a cultural god, but on the pulpit, he's a god. Muhammad is the manifestation of a different cultural god, Allah, so on and so forth. The Hindu god is a different cultural god. So you admit that there are different cultural gods within your theology, but your God is the monolithic God. So it's really polytheism. It's really not monotheism. And that's crazy because the Quran says that. The Quran says, you're not really practicing monotheism. You're practicing polytheism, and that's also for the Saudi Arabians as well. In their tradition, they're practicing a monolithic polytheism. Why? Because they acknowledge the fact that their cultural god is in a pantheon of other cultural gods in which their god is the monolith. Now, the Quran doesn't say that. The Quran says that Allah is the root of all gods, and all gods stem from Allah. That's what the Quran says, and that's why the Quran talks about actual true monotheism versus this monolithic polytheism. So Christianity is really a monolithic polytheism. It acknowledges other cultural gods in which its cultural god is the superior god with an actuality, and that, again, you can use the terminology atheism in order to describe a neither polytheistic or a monotheistic religious belief is a atheistic belief system, meaning that it is neither monotheistic or polytheistic, and it's a true monolithic, a true monotheistic belief system because it only gives a rise to one God, and that one God or one power is responsible for all the faculties or facilitates through these different agencies which stem from it, like the African traditions, the Orisha, the Medunetter, and so forth. Even Brahman in the Dravidian concept, when the Ayurvedics get it, when the Vedics get it, they make it more of a pantheon of gods, not deriving from one singular god, which is Brahman. But when you go back to the Upanishad, all gods are derived from Brahman. Brahman is the only god. And all others are agencies of Brahman in order to facilitate the, in which Brahman facilitates through these agencies, these different agencies. But they are all stemming from the one singular entity. So, I don't know. I'm an atheist. I do not acknowledge the one, I don't acknowledge there's a pantheon of gods anyway. So, at all. I don't acknowledge gods, no supernatural beings ruling the universe or anything like that. There are metaphysical agencies that stem from one singularity that govern this universe. And we refer to them as the laws of nature. The literature refers to that as the Lord. I finished cooking. I go eat. I'm hungry.